respectful Europeans. For some time, I talk about in some platforms about the opinion of pluralist Europe. Today I will explain you more about this topic. We are living in one of the biggest mainlands and in one of the most important political, geographic and historical togetherness. The European feeling succeeded to keep Europe alive, who passed a troubled half century, and Europe is continuing to advance and proceed with its integrated structure, composed of different languages, religions, understandings, and nations. Europe has made several innovations like our world. He did and will lead these innovations. As Europe, we are about to leave behind a torrid time. We should accept that Europe and European thought passed jolty years and that we should prepare the coming generation for a more solid European thought. We all know that Europe needs more flexible, durable, persistent and new thoughts. We need a Europe who accepts diversity and a Europe who considers that the different opinions are the opportunities to develop Europe. Together with our differences, we need common feeling that gather us, the Europeans, under the same roof. The European Union is the most important roof and feeling for the Europeans. The European Union should continue its road with unfaltering steps and should be supported with new opinions. We cannot leave aside 70 years of European efforts. We need a Europe whose borders are determined, whose establishments are strengthened, and a Europe that embraces the European feeling and the union that expands all over Europe. To build this Europe is a duty for every one of us, no matter under which status we are living in Europe. In this sense, we should first form the European dream and then make it real. Europe should plow a long furrow and minimize the impacts of her neighbors. Only through this way we can make a Europe helpful to other continents and make the debates more meaningful. Let's not forget, the debates inside Europe caused big troubles in the 20th century. We have a lot of reasons to be hopeful for the future of Europe. Europe improved successfully the European Union project after the World War II. The continent has been living a peace atmosphere for 70 years. We should take this peace atmosphere much further. The European Union is the first economic power of the world. She has essential contribution to the economic development of the other continents. Europe is able to lead the world in all economic sectors and in technological development. This prosperous continent should protect its liveliness. He should contribute to resolve the problems of other continents. There are some steps to be taken for the emotional development of Europe together with the economic and technological developments. Deplorable events and social fragilities make this situation necessary. We should spread a common Europe feeling all over Europe and make sure that every Europeans to have this feeling. Europe, who passed 20th century with wars and Cold War tensions, and the beginning of the 21st century with terror, attacks and refugee crisis, needs a new movement. This passes through the thought of pluralist Europe. We should first accept pluralist European opinion to strengthen common defense of Europe for a European foreign policy and for democracy, justice, freedoms in Europe. Europe should strengthen inside to his harmonized structure composed of different languages, cultures and nations from south to north, and from east to west. Pluralist Europe attaches importance each individual. It should be mentioned that pluralism starts from the individual, a philosophy and movement that take into consideration the individuals and their demands, that will open discussions about concepts. From now on, we should start the building movement in several matters that affect humanity, such as political, social, state tradition, defense, and foreign policy. The individual side of pluralist Europe can make it easily. We should approach the problems of the European Union like our problems, and we should embrace Europe. Therefore, a lot of things to do are waiting for us. It's important to use our time by thinking the individual and society. We are going to tell through the concept of pluralist Europe that European state establishments and organizational structures, except state power, should update their position towards democracy. We will express through the concept of pluralist Europe that Europe should know more closely the migrant culture, because migrants are guests, that different nations, languages, and religions are becoming the locomotive of Europe. There should be more concrete and courageous steps for the integrity of Europe. We should give place in our political understanding that the migrants come with the mobility and plentifulness of the guests. We should accept that the sociological structure of Europe is changing slowly in a positive way, and we should be open to positive changes. We should assure that the European economy to become more dynamic and the circulation of labor, employee, and capital to be in an explicit frame and without sticking around bureaucracy. Europe should have distinct borders in politics, international relations, economy, defense, and sociological matters. European education world should leave jingoist cognizance of the 20th century and should be in a breakthrough that will direct Europe to the philosophies, discoveries, and intellections of the coming centuries. We should know that secularism is a worldly concept that is our lives. Secularism is a concept of rationality, proportionality, and advisableness. Secularism is also close with the approach of pluralism. We should reflect this approach in our daily lives. We will remind in every atmosphere that the religion is not a fascicle of secularism, but the secularism is a fascicle of the religion. It's vital importance that European Union build a common diplomacy and increase its diplomatic efforts to establish peace, especially in Syria and in other fragile geographies. We are going to work that European Union will establish more realistic relations with Islamic Cooperation Organization and for more concrete steps that Islam will be understood better. We are going to ease the efforts of other religions and faiths to know and understand Islam. Our thoughts are in the direction of that the European Union shall be an observer state of the Islamic Cooperation Organization. The 51% participation rate in the European elections in 2019 shows us that Europe is supporting the European Union despite all discussions and cracking in the Europe thought. When there are negotiation countries with European Union, it's important ensuring unity and integrity of the European Union. We should apply more forethought politics for the European Union and apply micro and macro politics in a coherent way. The negotiations between European Union and England. When we talk about Europe, we should assess the negotiations between Europe and England. The situation of Turkey and England look like each other, even if Turkey negotiates to enter to the EU and England negotiates to exit the EU. Both countries, being on the two sides of Europe, undertaking important responsibilities for European defense, they did important job to assure European balance. In this sense, the negotiations of England brought question marks into the mind. The fact that Brexit referendum was held in a hurry, that the opinion of English people about the referendum became clearer during the years after referendum, and that political developments in England in recent months show that Brexit is not a proper political project. On the other hand, our goal is to build a European nation that will merge into each other in time. The direction of the history in this way, we cannot make it reverse. To this sense, I am in favor of 10 years programs that will assure full integration of England, like Turkey, into the EU. Respectful Europeans, we have a lot of rational reasons to be hopeful for the future of Europe, for I believe that the way towards a better, stronger, pleasant, happier and more sympathetic Europe passed through the pluralist European thought. I am going to tell this philosophy to European nations in the coming months and years. The time has taught us that the opinions of every segment of society, of workers, employers, executives, scholars, clergymen, students, youth and elders should be reflected and represented on political life. Now it's time to make it happen. May it be easy for all of us. Thank you.